right, welcome into another episode of Power 5 Picks brought to you by Better and Green. As you can see, Ethan is not here. He is actually still in the
Uh-oh.
woods hunting those deer. So we have our fearless leader, the GM report here, Ben. How are you, brother?
Doing good, man. Doing good. I'm
Doing
excited to talk some college football. Might not be the same aficionado as you guys, but I can pick the chalk plays as good as anyone.
well, that's pretty good because this slate, there's some competitive games on here, but super, super weird lines. Kind of honestly through all five of these games that we pick out. And again, we try to pick the ranked opponents, the ranked matchups. As you can see, there's one on here, Louisville versus Miami. Just because there's only four ranked games, this was the best non-ranked game I could find. But last week, I'll quickly talk about our record. Me and Ethan both went 2-3. Not our greatest win, not our greatest week. But more importantly, record aside, Michigan beating Penn State. And that's kind of all I cared about. Michigan ran the
Never
ball
a
30.
question.
They ran the ball 33 consecutive times. I mean, talk about knowing each other's play call. If Penn State didn't know Michigan was going to run the ball, then yeah. So I guess signals don't really matter if you have them. If you're the more dominant physical team, it doesn't matter. But Ben, you're a little bit of an Ohio State fan, is that correct?
Yeah. We'll keep it at a little bit so I don't get roasted too much.
Well, we did have a little bit of change in that top four of the college football playoff rankings. New number one, which is Georgia, rightfully so after destroying Ole Miss last week. Ohio State's now at number two, Michigan's at three, and Florida State's staying at five. So if both Michigan and Ohio State do their job this weekend, we most likely will see a number three versus number two rank matchup next week on the 25th. So hopefully all goes well, and hopefully we can have another great rivalry game. I'm super looking forward to that. Nervous, but should be a pretty good game.
It'll be great. Looking forward to paying you guys back for last year.
Yeah, there's a little bit of snow in the forecast. You know how Ohio State they're a tough team, but not that tough to deal with the snow. So, yeah, I'm still trying to get to that game. Tickets are through the roof. I might just go and tailgate at Ann Arbor, but yeah, tickets are like $800. I don't know if I can justify that, but
I need a couple
um,
subs.
yes, need a couple subs. That would be correct. Yeah, so make sure you do like and subscribe. We appreciate it. Yeah, and we're growing. Try to get me to that Michigan Ohio State game. But yeah, let's just get right into the slate here. We have a big Pac-12 game. Number 22 Utah traveling to number 17 Arizona. Yes, you heard that correct. Arizona is ranked 17. I don't really know why or how, but they're 7-3, so I guess I deserve it. But Arizona's a 1 point favorite at home. Over under sitting at a 45 and a half. I'm gonna send it to you. Get your boots wet in the first Power Five picks pick of the year. So good luck. It's a tough game.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really happy I get to start with this one. Utah coming off some tough losses, man. Coming off some tough losses. Um, we've seen them be pretty good by beating USC earlier in the season. Arizona, kind of like you were saying, one of those sneaky teams, number 17. You haven't really heard about them much. Um, Looking at these teams, I do lean Arizona just slightly. Utah, I think there's a lot of gas that or a wind that's been taken out of their sails. Whereas Arizona, I feel like it's trending in the right direction. They're home. They're only having to cover 1 point. Give me Arizona. I This is probably the one I feel the least confident about, but you got to pick one. So give me Arizona.
Yeah, so I've made actually a decent amount of money betting Arizona this year because there were some weird spreads and Vegas was just getting it right. Arizona was a small point underdog or the favorite in a game that didn't look like they should be, and I kind of was taking advantage of that. And this is kind of one of those games. However, Arizona is at home and they are a higher ranked team, so it doesn't make as much sense anymore. So I'm gonna just go back to just betting the better team because I think Utah is the better team in this matchup. I'll take them +1. I think they're going to win outright, obviously if I take them at +1. But yeah, I think Utah's going to get it done. And, there's not really any postseason hope for the Utes, but
Right.
7-3, they're, number 22 in the country. They could still get a decent bowl game with a couple more wins. So I think they're gonna end Arizona's streak. And I think Arizona, if I'm not mistaken, has won 6 or 7 in a row. One of the hottest teams in football right now. So it's a risky pick, but I just think Utah's a better team. So I'll lean with them there.
Absolutely. I think if you're looking at the last couple seasons, Utah's been pretty consistently pretty decent. So I don't hate that one bit.
And then the biggest question, the next game, can anyone stop Georgia? Georgia, the new number one, is traveling to number 18 Tennessee, who just got destroyed by Missouri last weekend, 31-7, I believe, 34-7, something like that. And Georgia just destroyed the number 9 team in the country, Ole Miss. Georgia is a 10.5 point underdog or favorite, sorry, on the road. Over under sitting at 59.5. I'm gonna go with that. I'm going to go with the thought that no one can stop Georgia. I don't think 10.5 points is nearly enough. I know Tennessee is a very tough place to play, but I mean, a very ugly, disappointing loss last week. I don't know if they can bounce back this quickly to the best team in the country. I think Georgia's going to blow the doors off once again. I like them a lot at minus 10.5.
You get the number 9 ranked defense, I believe, on the season in yards per game. Georgia Bulldogs, I believe if you're a big NFL fan like I am, you'll see a picture every year of this team beat this team and this team beat. So everybody's beating each other one way or another. Wyatt, who has beaten Georgia recently?
I don't think Georgia's lost a game in about 8 years.
Yeah, I think that sounds close to being correct. So nobody is beating Georgia. Georgia 10.5 point favorites. They beat Missouri. Missouri, who's actually been pretty decent this year, beat Missouri. I believe was that a double digit game?
I think it was 21-30,
21 to
a
30.
two-score
So
game.
close.
Yeah.
Close. Yeah, two-score game. Yeah, and then we just saw Missouri just handle Tennessee. So give me Georgia minus 10.5. You could give me Georgia minus 14. I'm still taking Georgia.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are in that boat. Again, I'm a little worried because it might be a little public, but I mean, Tennessee couldn't look worse and Georgia couldn't have looked better. So
Right.
I'll take Georgia there. I'm gonna send it to you again for probably one of the trickiest games of the week, if not the trickiest. Number 21, Kansas State is an 8 point favorite on the road. Again, you're hearing that correct against another ranked team, number 25, Kansas, in-state rival. Over under sitting at 56.5. Now, K State's pretty hot right now. Kansas just had a terrible loss to Texas Tech, low scoring 16-13 game. Kansas State almost knocked off Texas. So I guess I can kind of understand the line of why K State's the favorite. I just don't understand why it's an 8 point favorite. Do you have any idea why it's like that? Or I don't
I
know.
have there's one big thing, and it's the same reason, same thought process as Michigan State basketball school. No, but in reality, I mean, we saw Kansas State. I believe they had a tough loss to Oklahoma State. They probably shouldn't have lost. Their two losses they have had Texas, and I can't remember the other one right now. Another good team. They've had two tough losses to good teams this year. Um, Kansas State, they looked great last year. They're coming this year looking great again. Kansas, last time they looked great, I believe it was like Aqib Talib and those boys. Kansas State, really good defensive backfield. I believe it's a top 10 defensive backfield. I think I was hearing that they were number 9 in the country. Really good defense. They have a good running game as well. This is going to come down to if Kansas's defense can stop K-State's running game. K-State, their offensive line has been playing better too. As the games have gone on and progressed, Kansas State looks good. Um, I like Kansas State. I still like Kansas State to go into Kansas and get it done. A big in-state rivalry, especially like out here in the Midwest. Kansas, it doesn't have any really pro sports teams. They got the some soccer team out there, Sporting Kansas City. That's about it. There's no MLB. There's no NFL. So kind of like we see Alabama. Like if Alabama played at Alabama State, I don't even know if there is an Alabama State. That's going to be their big rivalry. This is the rivalry for Kansas. Kansas State, they're going to look to go in there and hopefully have a pretty dominating win.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you had there. I don't know. This is one of those games where it's so obvious for me to take Kansas State, and that's usually the play that I do. Take the bet that just looks gross. And Kansas State -8 looks gross. No matter how you're
Mhm.
looking at that, that's a lot of
That's
points.
a lot.
And I get it, but I'm gonna go Kansas, and I think Kansas is gonna win it on the money line. Um, I'm actually gonna take quite a bit of money line bets this weekend, in addition to the spreads. Another one coming up in a second here, but Yeah, it's just a game. I was on Texas Tech last week, and so there was a weird line. I understood that line, and I was on Texas Tech because Kansas. Why were they only a 3-point favorite when they were the 16th team in the country against Texas Tech, who had 5 losses? All of a sudden, Texas Tech goes in there, wins outright. So it was a fishy line, and I was on the right side. This one's also fishy, but on the wrong side of Kansas. I think you got to go Kansas State for that reason. I'm gonna take the obvious play and take Kansas at +8 at home. Again, I hate it, but I think they went outright. So I think I might sprinkle Kansas, Jayhawks, money line, and the +8. But that could very well bite me because it goes against everything I believe in, goes against my strategy of picking the gross bet. But it's so obvious that it's gross. So maybe it does work in my strategy. But yeah, enough with that game. I'm kind of putting my brain into a nightmare trying to talk about that one. Um, another, I mean, this slate, I can't reiterate, guys, how gross and weird this slate is that we have. By far the weirdest week of Power Five pick history. But we have number 5 Washington, a playoff contender, the 5th undefeated team in the country. That's relevant. I think James Madison's still undefeated, but they don't matter.
Right.
Um,
Right.
10-0 Washington, traveling to number 11 Oregon State. Oregon State has 2 losses. Washington, as I just said, undefeated. Washington is a 2.5-point underdog. Over under 63.5. I'm going to take this one because it goes against what I believe in. Again, I'm taking Washington as the underdog here. I think Washington's going to win it outright. I'm going to take them on the money line. I hope, for the sake of my boys in blue in Michigan, I hope to God Washington loses this game. So it kicks out Washington. Michigan's still alive if they do happen to fall to Ohio State, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think Washington's going to get it done. Oregon State is a really tough place to play. They have DJU, that Clemson transfer quarterback. Really tough place to play. Great home field, great coach, great defense. But I think Washington's going to go in there and get it done. How about you?
Oregon, very good team. Very good team, but they don't have that big Penix energy. They don't, man. Washington, big wins over Utah, USC, and Oregon. I mean, they're beating the top teams in the country. I don't see them going in and losing to Oregon.
Yeah, Oregon State. Yeah.
Oregon State, yes.
Yeah, same thing. But yeah, I don't see it either. So,
Yeah.
and I know it's this one and that Kansas one is pretty obvious to take the Kansas one. That's a lot of points at home to be the underdog. And then the
Mhm.
Washington it's pretty obvious to take the 5 ranked team undefeated against a 2-loss 11 ranked team. So definitely
Right.
worried about those two. But I think there's money to be made falling for the non-trap. There's an obvious trap that
Mhm.
Vegas is setting up, and I think we're not going to fall for it. So yeah,
I don't see them losing this.
neither do I.
If they've won all those other games, I don't see this being the one they lose.
And I hope they do, but
Yeah.
for the sake of my money, because I will be betting them, for the sake of my money, I hope they don't.
Yeah.
Um, and then this last game, we have, if you don't know how this team's ranked, it's only because they have 1 loss. Who's to Pittsburgh? May I remind you, Pittsburgh's terrible. They made fun of Michigan this whole time for not beating anyone. Louisville hasn't done anything. They beat Notre Dame, who now has 3 losses. That's their best win of the year. The ACC is garbage, and Louisville is not a 10 ranked team in the country. They travel to Miami. Miami is a 1-point dog at home. Over-unders 46. Screw Louisville. They're frauds. Miami's winning this game outright. We can get Louisville out of contention, out of talks. They're garbage. We all know they're garbage. Miami's winning this game.
Louisville has a good offense, but like you said, I don't think that they should be ranked as high as they are. At the same time, I'm seeing highlights of Miami players headhunting. So it's been like that type of season for Miami. Like they haven't been great either. Don't really love either side in this game. This is another one I really had a hard time picking. Um, I'm gonna go with Louisville, I think, just because I think their offense is better. And that's the only difference.
Yeah, no, they definitely. I mean, there's a reason they're 9-1 or whatever it is. There's a reason they're number 10. But I think it's you got to put them up there because they beat the teams on their schedule. And like Michigan, they haven't really played a whole lot of people. In Miami, they could have played spoiler last weekend to in-state foe Florida State. They played tight the whole game, lost
They did.
27-20. I think this is another chance for Miami to play spoiler and ruin Louisville's season. Louisville right now is sitting to play Florida State in the ACC championship game. I'm not sure what one loss would do. I think they still might be able to get there, but this would be massive for Miami to just say F you. And you say, if you're watching highlights of them headhunting, whatever, that's just kind of who the U always is. I feel like they just.
Is it the U is back?
Yeah. So I think they're going to play spoiler, and I think they're going to get it done. So, tough slate, guys. Tough slate.
I see Louisville being like, was it UCF a couple years ago that went undefeated but didn't make the college football playoffs? Yeah. I don't think it matters what happens with Louisville. They're not making it.
No, you can't ever put that team, and not with what's going on. The ACC is terrible. So, I just hope they get knocked out of talks, because it's ridiculous that they're in my top. They almost lost last week to Virginia, who's miserable. So, disgusting. But good luck, guys, if you are betting this weekend on these ranked games, because these are a doozy by Vegas. They're tired of our success. They're tired of everything, because these lines are fishy as all get out. But good luck as always if you guys are tailing. Ben, first of all, thank you for hopping on. It's good to have a new perspective and a new guest on. Do you have anything to end or say before we close out here?
See you OSU Michigan week.
Let's get us up to 500 subs for that game. We're 10 days away. Get me to that game. I'll give you the content if you get me there. But
you get us to 500. Me and Wyatt will fly out to that game and fight in the parking lot.
You heard it here first, boys. But thank you guys for hopping on. Make sure you do check out our website, bettergreen.com. We have all of our blogs there, and there's a bunch of good information on there, as well as our rest of our social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you name it. So make sure you check us out on all socials. We really appreciate it. Good luck again this weekend if you are betting these tough games, and we'll see you next week.
Peace, guys.
You better start listening to the Better in Green podcast. You will not regret it. Trust me, trust me, trust me. And hey, I'm Dean Blandino.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to Better in Green, eh? To Better in Green, eh? To Better in Green, eh? Listen in and cash out. That's what it's all about. Come on, let's make cash now. We always on spot and we cover all spot from the bottom to the top. Hey, shout out to Ethan, shout out to Wyatt, shout out to Ben. Welcome, welcome to our podcast. Better in Green.